Salutations everyone, this is Razor giving you the second part of when to pick each DPS in Overwatch. Continuing off here with Pharah. Pharah is going to be great in a lot of maps, especially how much she goes uncontested in the game. So few people will play D.Va. So many people think hit scan is the way to fight Pharah. Pharah eats hit scan for breakfast, especially McCree and Soldier 76. So anytime she's being uncontested in the air, especially with the Mercy Pocket, she's going to rule. But especially on these maps where she might not need a Mercy as much, and have more consistent play, is where I find her the most useful. Junkertown, point A, either attack or defense, a lot of sky, and a lot of very few places where the enemy is going to be able to come from. And when you get to that last point at point A, whether you're attacking or defending, if you have the advantage, you can press that much more with Pharah than you can with anyone else, just because of how much room there is around that area. She's going to be much harder to pin down, and she has some flanking routes to go around there as well, which is going to help when this new PTR change comes through. Just be better at the flanking play style because of that increased fire rate and taking out those squishies and otherwise not so situationally aware players. Rialto, she's very, very good, attack or defense. She's going to have plenty of places to boop people off. She's got a lot of buildings to hide inside or retreat from or just spam right down. Eichenwald, she is fantastic, especially on attack, where a lot of people get held up at that choke of that archway. Sure, you can just shoot from above the archway, but the best way to play Pharah on Eichenwald is to go around on the right side with the use of her concussive shot and her jump pack to get around the right side of the castle, past where the point A gate is that opens up after you take the point. She can go all the way around there, find the bastion that's behind a shield or a Torb turret or those Symetra turrets at the choke, or an Ana or a Zen that might be healing from the back. They're not going to see or hear that Pharah coming because so many people don't take that flanking route. And a lot of people have problems with that first choke point, and Pharah is the best answer for it. And if you need to get someone to point A, Pharah is the best because right out of spawn, you can just go straight to that broken rooftop where you can concussive blast over the roof to get to the point to get the enemy team panicked as they're all huddled up at the choke, divert the attention away from the choke so your tanks have some space to take, or if you just need somebody to touch, or if you just want to see if you can take a back cap, she's going to be able to at least alleviate the pressure and tank out any of the campers that might be on a high ground or a turret that might be uncontested because of how chaotic things can be at the choke. So she's going to be great there. She's going to be fantastic on Route 66, always has been, always will be. A lot of people love grouping up around the carts there or camping on top of the gas station on point A, and she has plenty of room and rooftops on streets phase, and it's the C area where there's going to be a little bit more claustrophobic where you might want to switch things up. She's going to be fantastic on Ilios. She has plenty of cover on Well. She has those the med pack side. She can hide up on those rooftops or behind the windmill. And then, of course, in Ruin, she has all those pillars and rooftops to get behind. Lots of high ground there that she can rule. Makes it very difficult the way that the point is down below for those players to take care of that Pharah. And especially if she's getting pocketed, she ain't dying in Ruins fairly often at all. Lijiang Gardens, she's fantastic. Tons of easy boops off of those bridges. She can sneak attack through those little windows at the point, especially for those ultimates where a lot of people get caught off guard. Oasis, Gardens, and City Center, she's always been great. High ceilings, plenty of high ground that's not going to be contested nearly as much, and you're going to have a lot of Pharah duels in those places. And once you have the point, one of the better characters to spam down and pressure the enemy team's spawn. And then we have Reaper, who's kind of the king DPS of the glorious land of matchmaking for the bottom 99% of players because of the way that he is ever since his buffs, to where he can just kind of dominate at a lot of places, but especially places like control maps like Ilios, Lighthouse, and Well. Plenty of corners, a lot of sneak attacks, high grounds that people aren't going to be looking for, easy death blossoms. It's the same with Dorado. A lot of places to teleport to and drop down with those death blossoms. Easy flanking routes, and there's always going to be somewhere to fade and hide behind. And some of the best way to keep the enemy from getting anything going is having a Reaper, especially in Streets phase, where those Death Blossoms are just going to get easy triples and quads and pentuples all the time. Lijiang Control Center and Night Market, lots of close quarter action. Reaper's going to be fantastic as long as there's not like a Doom waiting to punch him or a Brigitte to challenge him with her shield. Reaper's going to have an absolute feast. But where I think he might be the best is Oasis. Maybe not so much City Center, but the other two, he just rules because you have to get close. There's a ton of corners where he can hide and pounce. And it's going to get a lot of charge value and not to give the enemy tanks much breathing room because of how many people just love to just cluster up and death ball on Oasis because they feel like that's the safest way. Reaper is going to eat that up, especially on University. Soldier, wouldn't recommend him in a vast majority of instances, but you're always going to have a ton of people who love to play Soldier because they think he's kind of good everywhere, even though he's not. But if you want to play Soldier, I would say his best places would be Eichenwald, Numbani, Dorado, Nepal Sanctum, like I mentioned with McCree. If you just stay behind the point, force the enemy to have to come to you, and if they don't do that, you'll easily carry, like I said, McCree can. Rialto, he's pretty serviceable. You have a lot of high grounds that you have to worry about. You're going to see a lot of Faras there, and if you would rather choose a Soldier than a McCree, or if you're not good at Widow and nobody wants to play Diva for some reason, yeah, Soldier will be serviceable on Rialto. And Blizzard Will Defense is where I see a lot of soldiers have success maintaining that high ground. A lot of squishies get easily flanked and pounced on there, and he has his own health pack to rely on in a pinch. Sombra, quite the opposite from Soldier. She kind of works everywhere. In some places might be more dependent on the composition of your team, but mostly it doesn't really matter because she kind of does everything by herself and has one of the most impactful ultimates in the game in EMP and the best ability in the game in Hack. So Volskaya is where Sombra's still gonna be the best, attacking or defending. Lots of areas to hide your teleporter, lots of health packs that are kind of out of the way, and she's gonna have plenty of angles because people love to feel like they need to spread out. She can challenge on the high ground, she can charge up those ults, take care of any of those dive tanks, and we'll just charge that ult very, very quickly. And especially on point B, where so many people are going to need team kills in order to take that point. Whether you're attacking or defending, Sombra EMP is going to stop or finish those pushes or stops that you need. She's still very good on Anubis, not quite as good as when her health pack charged her ult. But if you can still maintain that health pack on point B, you're going to be great. She has a couple of different routes that she's going to be able to go, and a lot of people will rely on those health packs, especially on that third point. Dorado, she can absolutely carry super duper hard because there's just so much room, like in Volskaya, for her to get around, health a pack, hide her teleporter somewhere where no one's going to look for it, and she is going to get a ton of EMP. Especially since Dorado is, I feel, the payload map where you get the most people staggered, where they just throw their body at the point and they never try to do anything different. She can just spam you from the high ground on Streets phase. She can hack you and stop any push that you have on C. And obviously her ultimate is going to stop anything. She's pretty decent on Rialto. Once again, a lot of room there. King's Row, she's pretty good, but she's going to require a really good initiation from the rest of your team in order to get the value out of her hacks. Lijiang Tower, Control Center, one of the easiest places to play Sombra if you're just getting into her, just because there's so many health packs out there, and quite a lot of them that people just aren't going to be going for, whether it's the one in your spawn, the one in the enemy spawn, but my favorite, the Mega Health Pack just outside on top of the points there. Not people are going to be wanting to challenge that because it's going to take a lot of resources, especially if they don't have a Diva. and they're just going to kind of let you get away with murder for free, and you'll be able to hack somebody as they're coming to the point, take care of that tank, and finish them off from there. So one of the easier places, Control Center Lijiang Tower. And in Junkertown, pretty decent on attack as well, but she's kind of great everywhere. Symetra, with her rework, has had a lot more utility, especially getting past chokes like Volskaya attack A or Hanamura attack A. 100% of the time when I've been on Hanamura and we've had a Symetra and we know what we're gonna do, it's worked every time. Your tank goes up to the choke just like they always do, so the enemy team is none the wiser, and you just throw a teleporter behind the enemy choke right onto the point, and then boom, you're all there. If you're running a brawl comp, you got Brig, you got a Doom, you got a Reinhardt, you got a Zarya. You're just gonna be able to just defend instead of attack because you're gonna be the one on the point. First off right there, very, very quickly. And the same works for Volskaya. As you know, the Tracers and the Widows and the Fars used to be the only ones who could just go around the left side where other people would fall to their watery, icy grave. Symetra can teleport the entire team through the left side, so that'll catch people off guard, or maybe they all go through up the top or something like that. Using the teleporter is the best way to get value out of Symetra. Eichenwald, defense A, she's still going to be serviceable with those turrets, stopping people and spamming down the hallway has never been easier with the changes to her. Hollywood, defense A, she was always good before, maybe not as good now with the lack of turrets, but now the turrets just do more, and that teleporter is going to be able to have her switch around where the Torb turret is, or where the Bastion is, or where your tanks might be setting up, and that can throw a ton of people off because once they feel like they figured out one thing, you throw something else at them. Maybe Busan Sanctuary, if you can get the point first. Just setting up those turrets around the drum area, kind of hard to retake that point, and Symetra can be actually kind of decent there. Or she could just hide on the left or right side and set up turrets, protect a Torbjorn turret. I don't know, you can run full turrets there. So maybe Busan Sanctuary. Then we have Torbjorn. Now Torbjorn, since his rework, has become much better at places where he always was serviceable in the right compositions, but also in places where he was just a pure throw character is less so right now. But there's places where he can absolutely be an absolute monster, and mostly is still going to be key on defense more so than attack, although with attack now, since he doesn't have to build his turret, is going to be possibly a surprise pick. Maybe throw it on a payload on like Route 66 or like Dorado or something. But where Torbjorn is going to find his best service is going to be in Blizzard World defense. I feel Torbjorn's kind of fantastic on point A. He can also control the high ground on point B, just continuously throw up that turret, and it's going to be such a narrow way for his ults to get a ton of value. And even when you get into the Skeleton King Castle, there's not going to be a lot of room for people to go up anywhere, and his turret is always going to be in a more defendable area where now it's more easily destroyed, but you're going to get more use out of it. So before, when it was all turret all day and the rest of Torbjorn's kit was ancillary, now it's kind of the opposite, with his overload ability being the main powerhouse part of Torbjorn's kit, and his turret just kind of servicing as a backup consistent attack. Eichenwald, he can also be pretty decent on defending the second point, maybe even attacking on the first point just to get through that choke. You could distract him with the turret and then flank around with your overload. Busan Sanctuary, I've seen some Torbjorns do some work there, since those fences around the area has holes in it. He can just kind of throw up his turret right there and then just go to work on any of the other sides. Numbani defense, he was always pretty serviceable, but now with the new rework, he's going to be much more consistent. But when he went to go to the streets phase, a bit easier to pin down, and his ultimate's not going to be as valuable. But then once again, once you get to the third point, you're going to get more of your value back because it's going to be more close quarters. And he can be serviceable on Route 66 as well, and kind of a little bit on Volskaya, especially defending that point A. Tracer, She's good on a lot of points. It's going to make or break. Is the make or break thing isn't going to be so much the map or maybe even your team comp, but mostly your mechanical skill and choosing your targets. But the maps where I feel she's the best, Dorado, a lot of area to work around, kind of like with Sombra. And if you have trouble getting past chokes, she can get behind people very, very quickly. I feel she's pretty good on Blizzard World as well. Left or right, kind of, you know, point A, B, or C. Left and right are both going to be serviceable options no matter where you go. Especially on the left side of Streets phase, let's see a lot of tracers there. Nimbani, she's always been pretty decent. Busan, she's going to be good on all of those points. Ilios, she's going to be great. A lot of people will not defend their healers on Ilios for some reason, especially in Ruins. Tracer can rule and harass people more than anyone else on Well or on Lighthouse, harassing the enemy spawns because people really get staggered a lot in those areas, and Tracer can capitalize that better than anyone else. Lijiang Tower, she's pretty useful on all those points, but where I feel she's best is Oasis. All of those points, lots of room to roam around, and she's going to find somebody by themselves. Maybe not as much on University, but those pulse bombs will get money because of how some people really love to cluster up there. But she can go down below, recall back, surprise a lot of people. She can go to the right, go to the left. She's got a lot of options there. And lastly, we have Widowmaker, who, not a pop maker to take there. Well, but if you do want to use Widowmaker, she's going to be serviceable on a lot of mostly attack areas like Hanamura, getting to that high ground, finding somebody that's not behind a shield. It's all about finding those angles on Hanamura, and there's a lot of really high angles for Widow. But I think the best and easiest place to play Widowmaker, especially if you're starting out, is Anubis. She's good on attack and defense, more so on attack. Getting through that first choke area with those big, that big open area past those giant statues. She can get on top. Maybe most people will be behind a shield at that point by the bridge, but once your team can get in, she can pick off anybody off the high ground. If you are trying to surprise them, she can obviously go that flank around the left through those grates, and she can get to the point. There's a lot of high ground around the point on point A. And point B, if you're attacking, the best place is off those ionic pillars on the right side. You have an easy pathway looking towards the enemy spawn, picking off those squishies. Torbjorns will be hiding there. The Annas and the Zens will be hiding there. And Widow is going to be living off of those high angles where she's going to be very, very useful. Volskaya defense, she's pretty good, especially on point A because she has so much room to work with where the enemy is going to have a hard time pushing through. Dorado, usually serviceable there, especially on defense if your tanks are just wrecking them. She doesn't need to carry and hit headshots. She can body shot people for the victory from the high ground. She's not getting contested like a really good McCree or a Hanzo. She's going to carry her value even if she's not even getting like silver limbs. Junkertown, especially point A, especially attack, really, really good there. Lots of high ground, lots of quick people love to flank around the left side towards the end of the point A in Junkertown. Also serviceable on Streets phase, not so much on C because there's only two directions she's going to be coming from. Gibraltar, she's still very, very good, especially on attack. People really defend poorly on point A of Gibraltar against a Widowmaker, and obviously in point B, she has tons of high grounds to obliterate people from, and on point C, once you get past that first area, she can just hide in the back and pick people off, and then when she needs to get closer to the point, grapple to that bridge right above the final point. She's decent on King's Row in some circumstances, but not something I would suggest to a beginner. And Lijiang Tower Gardens, if she can have room, she's going to be difficult for the enemy to retake if she's just going to be entrenched in there. So that's going to be it for the rest of the cast of Overwatch, of where I feel they are best picked in matchmaking when you don't have to rely so much on what your team picks or how the enemy is playing. And if you're just starting out, these are the maps that I suggest to practice the most on and where you're going to find the most consistent success in the bottom 99% of matchmaking. If you missed any other videos, they're in the playlist down below. And thank you all for watching.